Update: fiancé's 23 female older sister. 26 female confessed that she felt rejected by me. 26 male and I'm the reason her life is a mess. Original post: this might not seem like a big deal to most people reading, but it's become a big deal for me and my fiancé. So when I was 14 I became best friends with a girl, let's call her Gina. When we were 16 we started dating and spent all our time together. Basic teenage love stuff. During this time I became close with her little sister Vicky, who was 13. Vicky and I were always friendly with one another, some teasing, some fighting, but just general kids being kids. So Jean and I dated for 4 years and ended up breaking up when we were in college because we wanted different things in life. I was fine with having only Gina as my partner for life, and Gina felt like she'd be missing out on her girls just want to have fun days. This was obviously a pretty rough time for me, for Gina, and for our whole friend group. The relationship was basically a corpse for several months, dragged along by our unwillingness to let each other go. She proposed an open relationship several times and I just couldn't bring myself to agree to it. During this time Vicky got pretty angry with her sister Gina because Vicky by that point saw me as part of the family. I found out later that Vicky and Gina got into regular fights about Gina's inability to commit to me. At that time Vicky was 17 years old and Gina was 20, so it's not like Vicky could really force Gina to do anything. Eventually Jean and I broke up and our 4-year relationship and 6-year friendship came to an end. I felt that the right thing to do was probably distance myself from Vicky as well, because being as close to Vicky as I usually was would mean that I'd never quite leave Gina's life. This ended up backfiring because it made Vicky very upset, and she basically interpreted this to mean that Vicky and I were never really friends and I was only tolerating her for Gina's sake, out of guilt or out of some selfish desire to not lose yet another piece of my life. I acquiesced to Vicky and we stayed friends. This was in 2014. By 2015 Vicky was 18 and I was 21. She came to the same college I was in and we were good friends. I always kept some distance with Vicky out of respect to Gina. This means that no matter how friendly I was with Vicky, I never really talked to her about really personal stuff nor my romantic life. She was a good friend but not a close friend. Then in late 2015 there was an incident where Vicky behaved extremely jealous towards a girl I was casually seeing. There was another incident in early 2016 where Vicky was found to be crap talking a different girl I was seeing, and when I confronted Vicky about it, Vicky basically confesses that she has developed feelings for me. I shut that down immediately because every part of it felt totally and viscerally wrong. But at the time Vicky assured me that Gina was okay with it and her mom was okay with it too. She puts all her cards on the table and says that while she understands for her as a kid she'd like the chance to at least date me and change my mind. Obviously she succeeded because as of February this year she and I are engaged. We've been together for 5 years now, and is by far the best relationship I've ever been in. The only problem is that it turns out Vicky lied about one thing at the start of the relationship. While it's true that her mother loved me and was totally fine with Vicky dating me, Gina was never ever okay with it. In fact, Gina was very much not okay with it and had been vocal about this too. Vicky Gina never said any of this to me because she and I were no contact. All of this is coming up now in 2020 because Gina is over our apartment for the week, and on day 2 yesterday she gets drunk and blurts out how I upgraded to a younger, prettier model by dating her little sister. Vicky was already passed out by this point, so she has no idea that Gina said these things to me, but at the time I got defensive and said that Gina was okay with it at a time, so why does it bother her so much half a decade later? Then Gina told me the truth about how she was never okay with it, but then she found out that I agreed to give Vicky a chance and it broke her heart, and she tried to let go of the jealousy she was feeling, and now 5 years later she still feels intense pangs of jealousy, all made worse by the wedding planning for our 2021 marriage. Gina says that she regrets asking me for a breakup and a single life wasn't worth losing love for her. She assured me that she wasn't trying to break Vicky and myself up or trying to get me back. She said that she just needed me to know how she really feels. She also attributes these feelings of rejection and loss as the cause of her depression, which incidentally has derailed her life for the last 4 years, so the times match up, I guess. What's the right move here? Do I tell Vicky about Gina's confession? Do I pretend like I didn't hear any of those? Now for the top advice before reading the update. In the grand scheme of things, Vicky not being upfront about Gina's concerns is nothing more than a footnote. Gina has no claim to open his love life after dumping him. Who wants their sister's ex? There is something weird going on. Vicky doesn't sound trustworthy, not to mention how Vicky crap talked Opie's girlfriends in the past. You dated both sisters honestly for years. You should have known this was not going to end well. It sounds like Vicky was probably in love with you from the very beginning, considering how upset she got with her sister for disrespecting you by not committing, and when you tried to distance yourself from her after to break up. She also probably went to the same college as you to stay in your orbit. I think it was a little naive of you to take Vicky's assurance that Gina was fine with you two dating at face value, but there's little that can be done about that now. You should definitely discuss yours in Gina's conversation to Vicky. I would expect she has been waiting for this shoe to drop for a while. You should also set clear boundaries with both sisters going forward, because I'm sure you have much drama ahead of you. Good luck. So let me get this straight. You dated a girl you all break up, her little sister, who has had a low-key crush on you for years. Gail trips you into staying in her life, ends up at the same college as you, and actively tries to ruin your relationships. The crap talking other women at acting catty/jealous tour them. You decide to entertain her crush even though you didn't know about it the whole time by going on a date with her. She lies to you and says her sister is okay with it. You all are now engaged, and you are upset with her older sister, the one you dated first, for telling you drunkenly that she was upset and never okay with it. Does Gina have buyer's remorse? Perhaps. Was it just alcohol magnifying her feelings? Probably. But she isn't that wrong. Vicky lied to and manipulated you, then lied to her own sister Gina and manipulated her so she could have you. I know you're in love with Vicky, as evidenced by the fact that you're engaged, but please understand this: Vicky plotted, manipulated, lied, and schemed to be with you and hurt her own sister in the process. For years this is an issue. It honestly speaks to selfishness, or at the very least emotional immaturity. The Gina's confession come at a bad time, 100%. And what else would she really say? But a person you should be mad at is Vicky. Her immaturity is showing, and her actions make it seem like she's the young girl you knew growing up. You can no longer trust her to give you the truth at face value. She kept this huge secret for years and again actively tried to ruin your weather relationships. That's not romantic, it's creepy. If she was this determined to have you, who knows what else she will say/do to get what she wants in the future. I'm not saying Vicky is evil, but I would really deeply consider your future with her. And now for the update. Before I posted the last thread, I was going to just let this whole thing die off and never speak to Vicky about it, but the majority of you felt it was best to at least be honest to Vicky, and at some point you all convinced me. So yesterday morning I sat Vicky down and told her what had happened. Gina was away at this point, so I had a privacy for a real conversation. A lot of people in the last post really mistook what kind of person Vicky is. In my opinion, Vicky isn't some kind of evil mastermind that was playing me, her mother, her sister, and everyone else like puppets dancing on her strings. When I met her, she was an earnest kid, and she grew up to be an honest but determined teenager at a time that we started dating. I mentioned this so that people understand that this conversation wasn't an interrogation. I just wanted to know what she thought about what Gina said. As it turns out, the truth is always somewhere in between, and I've learned a lot of new information. I just let her speak and get everything off her chest. I don't interrupt to ask for clarification or interject to argue. At any point, the way I'm going to write this down is probably annoying to read, but it's the way I process them. Totally new information. Confirmed info. Gina told me that Vicky confirmed messy info. Gina told me that wasn't fully honest. One knew Vicky's been in love with me for longer than I thought. Gina and I were planning on taking her to the carnival in town on her 14th birthday along with her group of friends, but Gina got sick and Vicky was starting to get sick, so they figured her plan was cancelled. I don't remember much of this event, but she remembers that I cheered her up and convinced her to go to the carnival. So it was me plus Vicky plus Vicky's friends, and when Vicky would get tired or need to sit down and rehydrate, I'd sit with her. She remembers that one of her friends was flirting with me and at one point gave me a compliment and I redirected a compliment to Vicky and it made Vicky feel like a me. This only used to happen after pickup games if Gina wanted to hang out. Afterwards I'd leave dirty laundry here for Gina to throw into the wash. Turns out Vicky started helping her later on, and Gina noticed that Vicky only helped her when my dirty clothes were in the hamper, never on a normal day. 3. Confirmed Gina suspected Vicky. Number 2. Senior year of high school I took art history. I didn't give a hoot about a class, but Vicky was super interested in hearing from me about it. Turns out Gina caught Vicky researching my class topic several times so that Vicky could hold conversations with me. 4. Confirmed Gina suspected Vicky. Number 3. Gina knew that Vicky would put on makeup and tidy herself up every time I came to visit Gina. Even if I'm just picking Gina up to take Gina out, Vicky would come downstairs with makeup on to chat with me for a bit. Before I left I didn't mention to Vicky that I didn't notice at all. 5. Messy Jean opposed Vicky's feelings, then came around. So Vicky told Gina earnestly about her feelings for me before she even told her mom. This was 6 months after Gina's in my relationship ended. Gina got pretty heated at this, and a week after Vicky told Gina there was an incident between the sisters where Gina basically chewed Vicky out. Gina then told Vicky that I'd never fall for her. This was when Vicky basically called out Gina and said that Gina wouldn't ever be happy for me. In this conversation Gina explicitly said that if by some miracle I said yes to Vicky, then Gina would put her tail between her legs and admit she was wrong. Gina later, 1 month-ish, apologized about how she spoke to Vicky and said that if Vicky truly loved me she was happy for Vicky. 6. Messy Gina encouraged Vicky to confess to me. The next big episode regarding me came the month that Vicky confessed to me. Vicky and I were in a bit of a fight because I don't like how she had behaved to a girl I was friends with benefits with. Vicky was crying at home and Gina basically encouraged Vicky to rip the band-aid off and tell me how she feels. This way if I rejected Vicky, Vicky can at least move on. Vicky asked Gina if that's really okay, and Gina said yes. 7. Messy Gina was happy and scared when Vicky was about to confess in a conversation in the evening that Vicky was going to tell me her feelings. Vicky and Gina spoke again over the phone. Vicky remembers that Gina made a very effy joke that suggested that Gina was hurting. Vicky paused the conversation and asked Gina if Gina really was okay with this. Gina backpedaled and insisted it was just a joke and said she was excited for her little sister. Vicky remembers the joke comment being something like, "Good luck getting the love of my life." So that's it. The truth is more complicated, I guess. Turns out that Vicky had feelings for me a long time ago. Things like falling in love with me for taking her to a carnival on her birthday seem dramatic and immature in retrospect, but it's important bits that make up a bigger truth. Also turns out that Gina had small nagging suspicions over the years, but most important is that it turns out when I was single and Vicky was working up courage to make a move, Gina wasn't actually in opposition. Gina ended up being a good sister and encouraging Vicky to chase what she wants. What further complicates things is that Gina used to express some insecurity around her body and how much more beautiful read right curves Vicky was. Back during the last 2 years of us dating him, I dismissed these insecurities that I used to laugh them off because at the time Gina was 18 and Vicky was 15. How does an 18-year-old even compare herself to a 15-year-old? I didn't know that there was this underlying sentiment of competition over the years. To spend years feeling jealous of your little sister must have been tortured. This was the least dramatic way I could think to resolve this, since Gina either deceitfully or genuinely doesn't remember any of her confessions to me. I'm going to let sleeping dogs lie. I think Vicky is perfect and I wish I could go back in time and take away the heartache she must have felt over the years as an insecure kid, not knowing if I'd ever love her or not. I'm posting this update partly to organize my thoughts, but also in case anyone feels strongly that I should talk to Gina. I believe letting this rest and not poking it anymore is the best option. Agree, disagree. It's super messy that you dated a pair of sisters that are marrying someone you used to be in love with and sleep with will be an in-law. It's your life, Opie, and you picked this path. It will always be messy with your ex future sister-in-law to some degree. Best you and Gina can do is ignore the fact You have a romantic past as much as possible. It's going to suck for her to be standing up for her sister at your wedding when she still has feelings for you. Edited. Thinking on this more, it's very upsetting that Vicky pursued you at all, knowing you absolutely were a serious relationship for her sister, your older sister's first love. You said you wanted to marry Gina. Vicky should never have gone after you. One day you may have kids. Imagine you have 2 daughters. Would you want their sisterly relationship fractured forever because they both fell for the same guy? Say what you want, but Vicky and Gina's relationship will never recover from this. Vicky chose a guy over her sister. That is what she did when she started dating you, knowing Gina wasn't cool with it. Now Gina has to deal with her younger sister marrying her first love, and her future nieces and nephews will be your kids with her sister. She can never escape. You never escape that you are with her sister. Every family holiday and event will include you with her sister. That is messed up, but of course you and Vicky are happy together, so you don't care. She lost her sister to you, and that is brutal. This happened in my extended family only. It was worse in that one sister, Lindsay, was married to a man Whale for 15 years, and they had several kids. They divorced. Another sister, Becky, was married to another man, Clint. They also had several kids, and then he died a few years after Clint died. Becky and Will got married. Lindsay was told after the other two started dating. It has absolutely affected the sisters' relationship. They used to be close and often are barely cordial at family functions. Even 20 years later, Lindsay feels betrayed by her sister. It hates having to see Will at every family function. Not help that Will was abusive to Lindsay, and Becky downplayed it and said she thought he had changed. And then you add in the kids who have felt they needed to take sides, or if they tried to stay out, parents or siblings would make them take a side, and so cousins that were also close ones aren't anymore. It's a total and complete clusterduck, and it was pure utter selfishness and willful blindness on a part of Becky and Wilhelm or Vicky and Opie not to care who they would hurt by their actions. If this was r/MRTA Hall, I would say everyone sucks here. Gina should have never broken up with you to live a single life, aka have her cake and eat it too. If Chinese loved you and ultimately wanted to end up with you, Vicky should have never broken girl code rule numero what's before 1, because that is deeper than just don't date your close friends. Exes. You never ever date your sisters' exes. She basically screwed up her family and sister relationship for life. She knew what she was doing was wrong. You should have never dated your exes little sister. That is weird as hell. You also didn't even like her at a time, so I don't even get the whole date someone you're not interested in and see what happens thing. You could have picked any girl, but you picked the messiest situation to be in. I guess it worked out for you, but your girlfriend ended up with a damaged primary familial relationship, and your ex that you really cared for ended up being served a platter of perpetual bitterness/insecurity/regret, having to see with her little sister for the rest of her life. Also, I highly doubt Gina forgot about her confession. She is probably embarrassed as hell about it, and that's the easiest way out, to pretend to not remember her. I feel like you owe it to Gina to at least talk to her, but I don't know what you would even say. Yes, she broke up with you way back then, but I'm sure she never expected you to go off and date her younger sister and end up marrying her, aka Gina is forever doomed with your relationship being shoved down her throat when she told Vicky from the start she is not okay with it. I don't know, man, I feel bad for Gina, even though she did technically cause some of this by breaking up with you. I'm still stuck on your going off and dating your ex's little sister. It's a bit creepy and just one of those things I thought everyone knew not to do.